please introduce yourself?
So my name's Alex Hutchiwood, and yeah, fashion designer, nomad.
Great. Oh, I love that as, as a personal description or epithet, nomad. It's great. So, what brings you to this particular symposium?
I've been attending a lot of the Afrofuturistic conferences and events, so this is just another one to add to my experience of a deeper understanding of Afrofuturism.
And I know this is a really broad question, but what is not define Afrofuturism, but what is Afrofuturism to you? What does it mean to you?
For me, it's actually been a really great way for me to find words that connect with other people, and specifically like research and books. And so it's just been a great conversation starter, because even when I mention it outside of the space, people are curious as far as well, what is that? What is the title? Where to go next. And so I love that the genre is so new as far as commercially or even just conversationally, and it's just a good outlet for me to kind of put my creativity along with thoughts as far as writing and photography and even things musically as well, to put it all together and to have other people to kind of talk to.
And right now, where is your research or your work? Where do you what are you working on right now? What do you enjoy at this moment?
I really enjoy menswear, and I plan on working something with how they described it as male bodies and the experience of being Black in America. And so I take a lot of influence from pop culture. So I really want to have something that kind of reflects the South, and also mimics a little bit of my travels as far as what's influenced me to just broaden my horizon as far as this is what I've seen over here as far as other countries, and this is the conversations that I've had in other countries as well. So I'm really inspired by a lot of John Jennings' work and Ronaldo Anderson's work. So just kind of taking that influence and paying homage in my first collection to continue those narratives that they talk about in a visual way.
So, there have been so many great panels throughout
this
thing.
I love
what are some of the panels you've really enjoyed?
I really like the music one, because music moves you and has a lot of experience. But it's great to see the music be broken down to where it really talks about the artist's experience, and also compares that to Afrofuturism. So that's got me really thinking, and even has me going back to some of the music that I've been introduced to, and even the music that I've discovered on my own. And it's going to be really interesting to infuse the music, and also too I really like the horror as well, but looking at the word they use is the grotesque, and so really trying to figure out how to put a little bit of aspect of horror into the visuals that I do for my menswear collection, and just starting to see it as a narrative that I want to build, and creating worlds each season. So
that's fantastic. So the way you approach these ideas of horror and music in your own work, how would you describe that?
Cinematic, yeah,
okay,
very
great.
Cinematic. I'm very influenced by film as well. So just growing up, just watching a lot of French films, watching a lot of avant-garde films, and just kind of seeing how the medium could be played and pushed to its extreme, but then also enjoying movies Transformers, action kind of movies as well. But I mean, it's such an art form, and then designing as well. I remember how The Matrix really influenced me, and just even the distressed look that they had, and the dystopia that they were living in, all of that really influences my designs. And so I prefer to design with a more cinematic kind of theme to it. So it'll be really interesting to project that into my film and have other people interpret that same influence that I have as well.
Oh, great. Well, since there has been so much at the symposium, right? Every panel, it feels like your mind's blowing a little. What are some of the things you think you're going to take with you? What are some of the things that you feel you just can't wait to express and tell other people about this experience?
The cyber trap is probably the biggest one, because it's taking a real life place but displacing it into the future. And so I really want to work more with that, and really look forward to possibly an opportunity of working with some of the scholars here and like creating that world and making those looks and seeing how I could put that into like a commercial space as far as like, you know, could that be like the next Forever 21 look or something like that. And just kind of going off of like, well, how can I create something that, you know, becomes a style and that becomes like a thought influence as well. So I mean, that's really how like, I feel like fashion is like a reflection of your thought, you know, like you can tell like when somebody's having a great day because, you know, they may dress up a little bit versus like when they're not feeling as confident, you know, they might be a little bit more laid back and like more subdued with the colors that they wear. So I mean, it's dressing is probably like one of the most interesting forms of expression of individuals, and so I take a lot from a lot of the scholars here to like try to push like, well, how extreme could dressing be if people really did adapt to all of these ideas. And yeah, it's like to see things in like a very dystopic thing or see things in a very utopic thing is like, you know, it'd be very interesting to kind of play with like silhouettes and stuff on those issues, yeah.
Right, now I know that maybe planning might be a little bit difficult for a nomad, but I'm sure we expect to see you here next year. Right?
Yeah, as I say, I plan to voyage here as well. And hopefully like all the spaces that I visit just start getting bigger and bigger and more people get involved and start expressing themselves. And like even I have plans to like curate events just from different designers that I see, different artists that I see, and like bring them together and like show their work and like show that, you know, in addition to the scholarly stuff that inspires me, there's a lot of just like everyday things and people that inspire me as well. So having like all of those worlds meet, you know, that'll be really an accomplishment to see.
It truly does feel like there's a community being built here, and I think it's really excellent that we're in the same community.
Yeah, so. And then like the internet and a lot of like media, it's really gonna like continue those conversations. And I think like that's probably the most important step to take next is how can we continue these conversations and have people who aren't able to travel here be involved with them and not have so much exclusivity of like the thoughts and everything. So I mean that's like just about anything out there. It's like it first starts exclusive and then some way it gets hacked and then everything gets out, and so
well,
yeah.
Hopefully because of interviews like this one, you know, that this is how these things spread, you know, maybe through these kind of curation projects. But really want to thank you for this interview, and well, hope to see you and interview you again soon.
Yeah, thanks.